Happy Halloween. Ooh, let's fix that. Happy Halloween. It's October 31st, and welcome to the Driving Forward podcast. Whether you're joining us live or listening to us on one of our 18 platforms, including Reese Across America Radio, where we broadcast every Tuesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time, we appreciate your support. Throughout the show, we invite you to share your comments and questions at any time. Your engagement fuels our discussion and helps us navigate the world of transportation and logistics together. Today, we have the privilege of hosting Jeremy Reymer. Jeremy is the founder of Driver Reach, an innovative driver recruiting and compliance platform designed to help companies hire CDL drivers better and faster. With more than 20 years in the trucking industry, Jeremy has worn many hats, managing a truckload operation, running a driver staffing company, and contributing as a board member for multiple industry associations, including the Indiana Motor Truck Association. But wait, there's more. Jeremy also hosts his own podcast, Taking the Higher Road. Maybe you've watched it. I'm guessing you have. Where he chats about the challenges of driver recruitment and retention, amongst many, many other things. Recently, he's launched Project 61, a passion project aimed at addressing the troubling statistic that the average life expectancy of a truck driver is only 61 years. This initiative raises awareness and offers practical solutions to improve drivers' health and well-being. To learn more about this important work, listen into this episode and visit project-61.org. Let's bring Jeremy in. Jeremy, it's great to have you on today.
It's great to be here, Nate. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'm channeling at first when I put this costume on, I put the makeup on. I'm thinking I'm going rocker, but I wish I wouldn't have put the makeup on. I could have channeled my inner Howard Stern.
Yeah, and I'm going Dodger fan as the recent World Series champs.
Yeah, congratulations on that. Yeah, big win. So I wish Minnesota could pull something out. We've been on a dry spell for a long time. So, but congratulations. So let's start out a little bit. You and I were chatting a little bit yesterday, and we've known each other for a little while and had a variety of conversations, but I've never really dug into your history past kind of the known history, what everybody associates you with. And, some stuff that we started talking about kind of resonated. So I think I want to start this discussion kind of where Jeremy Reymer comes from. And that's strange for me to ask you that question because a lot of people know you, a lot of people in the industry watch your show, but a lot of people probably don't know the origin story. So let's go down that road a little bit. Where do you come from?
Well, I'll go back to the very beginning. Billions of years ago, the Earth was a molten mass. No. So I spent most of the first 30 years of my life growing up in Southern California, Los Angeles, hence Dodger fan. And actually, it was around 2001, I had this opportunity to move to Indiana to help run this small family business in the trucking industry, right? A driver staffing company. And originally I said, Indiana trucking, no thanks. I lived a block from the ocean in Long Beach at that point.
Yeah.
But a couple of years later, opportunity presented, it was still there. And I had gotten married and my wife's like, let's give it a shot. If we don't like it, we can come back. And so that's what, propelled me into the trucking industry. And then once I moved to Indiana, and once I got in, then you're all in, right? That's the attitude that needs to be. I'm all in. And I realized really quickly what a great industry this is and what a significant issue, and shortage of drivers that existed. And so I felt like and how deficient the industry was in terms of like, especially technology or just, eh, I felt like we were in the Stone Ages a little bit, but it was a fun place to be given, growing up, in Southern California and feeling like there was a lot more competition there. I felt like I could make a difference here. And so that was what, started. And then I ended up uh, establishing a trucking company because I had drivers. I had some really good ones. And that was in '05. And boy, what an expensive education that was from '05 to '08. And I think you could
Yeah.
probably relate to that.
Yes. Uh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I think any time you own a trucking company, it's an expensive education. You never, very few people that I know that start out owning or own or run or whatever the case may be, a trucking company ever turn around and say, "Hey, I just made complete bank the first few years I owned it." It's an expensive venture, and there's a lot of errors that you make in the beginning, no doubt about that. In that particular era, you talk about technology in that era, and that's really kind of the revolution of technology. That's when it kind of all began. Going back, I got into the industry about 10 years before then, and there was some technology, but I feel like the ball really started rolling about 2005, 2006, and really took off, 10 years later. But for those of us that were innovating back in 2005, 2006, we had a lot of avenues that were available to us. You just had to know how to do it. But there were a lot of companies that, didn't have TMSs, didn't even have, back then we called it mobile com. They weren't
Mhm.
tracking their trucks. There was nothing like that. An imaging system was unheard of, hardly. I mean, no one was using anything like that. Um, so certainly it was the Wild West when it came to technology, and we were very far behind back then.
Well, and then you throw in the Great Recession, and that was sort of what, being shackled to all the assets in a trucking company with and not a lot of good freight, and didn't really know what I was doing. That's hence the expensive education. Still young in the industry. Certainly learned a lot though, and learned the areas that I can really lean in and focus on. And fortunately, in 2009 or so is when early in '09 it started to pick up again, and the staffing company grew and grew, and I started building technology for me, recruiting, software, and really just solutions to help me manage my growing business as I was expanding throughout the country. And I recognized that some of the technology that I had built for myself, I could take this to market to the industry, which was sorely needed, and I could help a lot more people with that than I could with my staffing company. So kind of came to a crossroads where I decided to sell my staffing company and focus all in on what became Driver Reach.
Uh, that's I mean, you recognize the opportunity and you take it from there. I think I've mentioned that a few times just here recently on various social media platforms where once you find that opportunity, you just claw on to go and go. Uh, and that's obviously been a success for you. You've established yourself as kind of that guy. So, I mean, when I think of you, that's kind of where I typecast you to some extent, probably wrongly. So, um, obviously wrongly. So no, I appreciate that background, and I know many others do as well. Just knowing that you started as an operator is something that I wasn't necessarily aware of. I was certainly aware of the recruiting side and the software to support that as well. There's been many people I know that we've interacted with together over the years. So um, absolutely. So let's roll into Project 61 a little bit. We've got a big date coming up here soon, really tomorrow, and that's a culmination of a number of months' work. But what inspired you to launch Project 61? Where did that necessarily come from?
I can tell you. So about a year ago, I think it was when I had come across the statistic about the average life expectancy. I had already made some personal decisions in terms of, health and wellness as it crossed over the 50-year threshold. And, you just want to take care of yourself, and you want to, live longer and be around your kids, and not be what, my father is not in great health. And that's, I don't want to be that. And so, as an employer, a former employer of so many drivers, I experienced so many of them who had all kinds of different chronic conditions and illnesses, and even died while working for me. And that was painful, especially when they were really young. And I've got plenty of stories there. And I'm sure every listener who has interacted with drivers or who is a carrier has had drivers who have died while working for them. And I'm not talking about in a crash.
Right.
And so, again, about a year ago, that statistic really hit me. And I thought, that is what, I would engage with a lot of other industry vendors and suppliers who are trying to address this problem with a product or a service, help improve driver health and wellness. But they would always say, nobody listens. They don't get any traction. It just, and I said, you got to hit them right between the eyes with this statistic. That is unacceptable. That's just unacceptable. We are so proud of trucking and so proud of the drivers that we support. We just had National Truck Driver Appreciation Week not that long ago. Yet we're all responsible to some degree for, that's the environment they work in. It's a really difficult job that they do. We say how much we respect them. We got to help them. We got to make it easier for them. And so it takes all of us. But I'd love the opportunity to be a champion for this cause. It's something that not only am I proud of, but my children are proud of, seeing their dad focused on something like this. And that's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, no, I respect it. As soon as I heard about it, I jumped on the bandwagon in some way, shape, or form, which, didn't really, to my point, what we're going to jump on as a sponsor. I didn't really even realize the sponsor thing was there until we were talking about this in the green room. It's just ramping up. Your thing's just ramping up. So, I think you have the whole industry is going to back this, because why wouldn't they? This is just, I like to talk a little bit about National Truck Driver Appreciation Week. I feel like National Truck Driver Appreciation Week is when the industry goes out and tells the world about what we do for drivers, but every week is truly what we should be, supporting our drivers and taking those action on. And this is the Project 61 is truly us trying to create awareness around that. And then, I do see on the app, there definitely are some drivers that are participating. I'd love to see some more drivers get participating. Mm-hmm. So, I've seen, Autumn Transport join.
Yep.
I'm going to be working to get some more trucking companies to join. So, getting them to join and engage and start promoting it, that'll happen over time, which will be wonderful. And that's on the step up side, but I think that's going to just continue to grow. I'm curious if you keep that going, which I don't see you stopping it, but
So that whole, Project 61, while it's still in its infancy, literally like not even 2 months ago is when I really I've been talking about it for a long time, and then it was time to start just taking action. And I had the opportunity to have some conversations in public forums about it, launch the website. But the 61-day step challenge was something that it was an idea about a month ago. And I thought, it would be great. We can start on November 1st and go through the end of the year. That's 61 days, obviously relevant to that 61-year number that we keep referring to. And I just started promoting it, and it just started snowballing from there. The amount of industry support from all corners is, it's amazing. I am super, super grateful for how much outpouring of support that there has been. There's about 400 people in the step challenge today. A majority of them are not drivers. And originally the intent was just, I want to share this with some people who are, I'm not
going to show today. I'm not, today it's been raining and it's really bad. I will show today because might as well. might as well, some days aren't as good as other days. So I'm at 1,000 steps a day, which is horrible. But for the week, I'm 12,000 average. So
That's
keep
yeah,
talking.
yeah,
I'll
that's
smoke you out
fantastic.
as you're talking. So,
but what I was going to say is the focusing on just raising awareness first. That's sort of the tip of the spear. But there's awareness, then there's education, and there's resources. At the end of the day, drivers have a really difficult job. Like this step challenge is more of a fun thing to do for purposes of raising awareness and certainly promoting activity. And so this is certainly not the last time we do something like this. But I would encourage, there's a lot of carriers in there. You mentioned Autumn Transport, awesome company, great people, great supporters of this movement. And we were talking about the best way for them to do something for their drivers. There I am, number 6, right? There we go.
Yeah, you're number 6.
Yeah. Here's what's funny. There's so many people that step quite a bit, which is awesome.
Yeah.
They, if you average 10, 12,000, I mean, you're going to be in the 40th place or so.
Yeah. I've been up there. I'm going to chime in just briefly here before you go down. So a year ago, I've had back issues for a while. At one point in my life, I was fairly active, but I've had surgeries, I've had whatnot. And so a year ago, I was working with a trainer and they're like, hey, you need to get 10,000 steps in a day. And I honestly couldn't do it. And so I've worked through a regimen over the last year. And obviously, I was 15,000 steps on Saturday. I was 13,000 steps on Sunday, and then work gets in the way sometimes. So, but I'm hitting 10,000 steps over and over and over. As of September, though, I was maybe 3,000 to 5,000 steps a day because I wasn't really paying attention. So you do not have to be anyone of any accordance to do this. You just have to be mindful of it and go, and you're going to see benefits of it. And what's nice about this is jump on, see who's on here, and you have friends that are doing this. You have industry friends that are doing this. I mean, I go to the top of the list, and you're on it. Charles is on it. It doesn't take very long as I go down. I'm sure I'm missing people. Scott Maldonado. It doesn't take very long. Wendy, Gina. So you just keep Scott Anderson, Chris Henry's on it. So you keep going down and you find people, and then you can cheer them on. So, and that's been, I've, for the month I'm 93.46, and I did not start for the first week. So,
and you also weren't trying. I mean, this is the challenge
Right.
didn't technically start yet either, but it's a lot of fun. I think, to your point, there's a lot of opportunities for engagement, but at the end of the day, if we are moving more, then we're winning. So, because there's plenty of people that I talk to, I don't want to do it because I'm not going to be, anywhere near the top. Like, are you going to be more than what you otherwise would? Then you win.
Right. It's not the point. You're not going to win. I mean, there's people out there that are, I mean, you see some people some days that are 40,000 steps. It's, what was it? Rocco Merari at TIA put up 130,000 steps in 3 days. That was just insane. So, there's people that are, it's not about the win. It's about the community and, what the cause is. And then, ultimately though, trying to create the message of what we can do to bring on everyone else. Taking a walk as a driver has been something that we've been telling everyone to do for a long time. Mm-hmm. And, now, from my point of view, I'm out there doing it myself. And, it's hard to find that time. It's hard to find the time. As I've been a driver. I know what it's like to go work 14 hours and then now I got to go walk for an hour or half an hour or whatever the case might be. And that's sometimes hard to find that time or energy. So, but 61 years, that's not a long lifespan. So.
No, and to your point, that the job is so tough. And it's honestly, the drivers are where it's most acute, which is why this is Project 61, but it's all of us, right? I mean, all of us, if we aren't, and the word I will use, and the only one word here is intentional. You have to be intentional. And that's just not just about the steps, because walking is super important. But it's also what you eat and what you don't eat.
Right.
Stay
Right.
away from processed food. Stay away from the sugary drinks, the energy drinks. Those things, your glucose is spiking off the charts. That stuff it's slowly killing you. What you eat, the nutrition side, the exercise, active side, and then sleep. If you're a truck driver, you got a 10-hour break. I gotta go at when 10 hours is up. I gotta go. Well, in
Yeah.
10 hours, you need to completely unwind, eat, do all of whatever business you need to do when you're not driving, and then also get hopefully 7 to 8 hours of sleep. That is next to impossible.
Right. It's truly it's basically impossible to do it the right way and to de-stress. I mean,
Yeah.
I think when you get down to it, it's so, this goes back to when I was running trucks and running trucking companies, creating that good job, creating the job where the driver knows what they're doing. They have a consistent job, a consistent role, staff that support them, uh, healthy staff that support them, remain. I think that's just something that, we as an industry, we can talk about driver shortage, we can talk about turnover, we can talk about whatever we want, but ultimately we need to talk about creating good jobs for drivers and supporting them in the right way. And that's going to resolve any and all things for the most part, or at least the vast majority of it. And, there are choices that people make for their health, but those choices now maybe get options if you create jobs that allow more options to be made.
Well, and think about the importance of being intentional. If I'm a truck driver and I'm gone all week long, if I don't plan ahead in terms of what food I'm going to take with me in the fridge in my cab, then I'm going to be at the mercy of what's available at the truck stop, and that's not always a healthy selection. And
Right.
so and filling too. But those are important decisions to make, so that the behavior needs to change, but we as an industry need to make it easier for them to alter that behavior. And one thing that I think about all the time, the parallel that I will make, is carriers will spend a lot of money on a really nice piece of equipment, and they will take care of that equipment through preventive maintenance on a constant basis. Yet the most valuable asset they have, the human being that's operating that truck, it's not even an afterthought. It's not a forethought at all about, hey, let's invest in making sure that this human being is being taken care of. I know it's not exactly the same because this human being has free will, but at the same time, if we educate them and provide them resources, we want them to live longer. They're going to perform better. And at the end of the day, they're not just a truck driver. They have a life, right?
Right.
They're doing this job, but that job doesn't define them. They have a life. They have things worth living for. And I certainly don't want them, living on average to 61. And I'm sure nobody does when you think
No.
about it that way.
Right. Yeah. What is that? It's 15 years lower than the average human life
Yeah.
expectancy
15,
right now.
16 years. It's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and simple things like if you have a company that drivers are continuously moving, over the road drivers are continuously moving through terminals, allowing them to use company equipment to go back and forth to grocery stores, facilitating some sort of delivery service to where they can get groceries in and out of the terminals, so they're not having to the logistics of this is way different from when I used to drive, where you could just take a truck to a grocery store. Now no one wants that anymore. It's the not in my backyard mentality. So this kind of goes into and we've been, I've got about 20 questions in front of me, and we've just nailed the first 7 without me even having to ask. So, but this one, what are you, or how do you see raising more awareness to this? How do you see Project 61 kind of raising more awareness to this? And what are some strategies that you're planning to use or are using to bring more attention to driver health issues beyond just Step Up?
Yeah, great question. Like I said, it's in its infancy. The step up, the challenge is certainly great for raising awareness about the issue and the importance of health. Content galore. There's so much content that Project 61 will be producing around all of the facets that we talked about. Certainly nutrition and health related. Some sort of what I envision as a really cool handout. Drivers will see on when you see like a level 1 inspection, you got the picture of the truck and all the different things that are being looked at, or on like a DVIR or PM type of sheet where you see some of the sort of things that are related to the truck itself, providing that same sort of what's the word I'm looking for? The same sort of, yes, sort of like that, but it's for your own health, for your own human
like
body.
an inspection report.
Yes, yeah, exactly, kind of like that.
Yeah.
But and I say that because things that you want to do. Here's a simple example. First thing you do in the morning, wake up, drink a really big glass of water. That's
Right.
what you should do every single morning. Most people don't do that. I only started doing that recently because I read it, and I've heard a lot. I mean, and I've seen this, I've read this from a number of different sources. And so there's a lot of affirmation that takes place when I'm consuming so much content around health and wellness and that sort of thing. But otherwise, I would get up and just go straight to coffee. And there's nothing wrong with coffee. It's just that your body hasn't had any water, which is like the most natural thing that your body wants, for probably 8 to 10 hours or more. So get some water in you. Sort of like when you put water in a plant and all of a sudden it starts to come to life again. That's what your body needs first and foremost. Those are like little things, and there's a million of them, but
Right.
there's the steps that you can take to be more mindful. And I think what's most important to me, there are so many people you talk to, including drivers, who say, I know the things I need to do. I want to eat this donut, or I want to eat these, roller dogs. And I get that once in a while. I don't think there's anything wrong with that if that's once in a while. But once in a while means that all the other time you're eating really smart, responsible, healthy food, and then it's okay. But what I really want to help impress upon everyone is the why. What are you living for? If it's, because it's not always the same for everybody, but for some drivers, it might be their granddaughter, or it might be their spouse, or it might be their children, or, whatever the case may be. But if you can connect the dots by saying, like, that's my why, that I am going to make some decisions to be better because I want to be not just alive, right? I don't want to just put, years in my life. I want life in my years. I want to be healthy. I want to be able to enjoy the time with whatever it is that is your why. That's something that's really important to me, is to help connect the dots, because I think that's where you can get a much firmer foothold on behavioral change that it lasts.
Oh yeah. Anything or anytime you have a why, anytime you have a reason that you're doing something, that's your motivation. So if you're not motivated, you're not gonna why do it? So just because, if you have the motivation, then you're gonna take the steps. So absolutely. And if you have lots of motivation, much better chance. And then, that to me, I always want to create the habit. So I force myself to continue to do things over and over. So, for example, the step up piece, I just started getting up every morning and going for that walk in the morning. And that was the trigger. I always went for a walk at night, which is why I was always, 3,000 to 5,000 steps a day. But that walk in the morning, instant 10,000 steps a day, because it was 2 walks a day now.
Right.
And that's how it became 10,000 steps a day. If I go for a really long walk or 3 walks, now I'm at 15,000. Am I going to be 20,000? Not until I start actually running. So, because I don't have that time.
Yeah, the time, exactly.
So
it takes time.
Yeah, exactly. So, let's talk a little bit about resources available to drivers, either through Project 61 or that you're thinking you might eventually bring in. Might be mental health support, various fitness plans, partnerships, nutritional guidance, whatever you might have. Are you kind of coordinating any of that, or is there anything already available for it?
Yeah, on the website, I think there's a handful of partners that are listed there. At the end of the day, right now, at least, I think what was important to me is to be a wind behind the sails, if you will, for some of those companies who are already doing something. I'm certainly not trying to compete with them.
Right.
My goal and the whole mission of Project 61 is to move that needle. 61 is just unacceptable. And so working closely with the companies that are already in that space, whether it's sleep related or, mental health related, companies like Off Shift, Rolling Strong, or companies that I'm really close to that I'd like to be able to be helpful in companies working with some of those, partners, because they're already doing the thing. They're already there. They already have a product or a service. And there's so many more of those. Like I said, it's in its infancy at this point. But just, I mean, the amount of support from the carrier side is great. At least the conversations that I'm having, I mean, every single day. And that's super encouraging, because I know that there's not a single trucking company out there that has a slogan on the side of their truck that says, come work for ABC, a company to die for, or
Right.
XYZ company where we pay you to die.
Yeah. No
But
one.
but that's happening, sadly. And
Right.
and it's going to take all of us
Yeah.
to improve that situation.
No, agreed. Agreed. And it's I mean, it's one of those things that no matter what we do, when you have people living in trucks, that it's going to happen. What we don't want to have happen is this early age scenario, and the education of that, and the life choices to some extent. But where we as an industry can support those choices, and to make better choices, because like you said, free will, I think, is important here, and understanding that free will, and having, instead of having two choices, you now have 10. I think that's where I see it being a huge impact. And educating the companies, and helping them, or even providing the contact to companies like OffShift, or anyone else out there, um, are great. There's a lot of people that have been playing in driver health for a long time,
Mhm.
and many companies don't work with any of those organizations. So most people don't have plans. And I've worked with hundreds. I've actually walked in the door of somewhere around 1,600 different asset-based carriers in my career, and I would venture the vast majority of them do not have a plan around anything, any well-defined plan around driver health and wellness beyond healthcare. So,
Yeah,
which is
well, even
unfortunate.
if they do, it's probably not trucking specific. So it's
No,
like, it's just, out of the box, kind of like it's supposed to work for a truck driver, and it's not the same. And so that's part of the reason why I like to promote those types of companies. But also just for any of us who, once we start doing this, and it's baby steps, you just start altering, certain habits, and you in all those areas that we keep talking about, and you'll realize I start to feel better, and I
right,
start sleeping better, and then I this feels amazing, and then it's, now you get momentum. And I think sometimes people say, well, they want to lose weight maybe, but yeah, and that's their focus, but really their focus really should be health. If you need to lose weight, if you focus on health, you'll lose weight.
right,
But you're not gonna walk your weight off. You're gonna, I mean, walking is super healthy for your body and your mind and everything, and exercise in general. But where you're going to, if weight loss is necessary, where you're going to lose weight is on what you eat or don't eat, what you drink or don't drink. And that's like, and I've seen this in myself firsthand, as I lost close to 50 pounds in the last couple of years, is just make different decisions in what you eat, what you choose to eat. And then after a while, not within a month or two, you start to really feel a lot better, and you're like, wow, why didn't I do this before? but then also you can't stop talking about it. So
Yeah.
usually when I'm sitting with somebody, at a table at a conference or something, like, oh, here he goes. He's going to start talking about his diet. But it's hard not to talk about it.
No,
You feel
no.
so
I mean,
good.
yeah, from when I met you to where you are now, there's a significant difference. And I've actually lost about the same amount of weight, but that it's probably not as noticeable because I'm a big guy. So, but next time, somewhere down the road, hopefully we're going down another 50, 60 pounds. So, but it's all baby steps. It's not a race. So,
Right.
um, so I want to talk a little bit about, I want to shifting a subject real quick because this is one that's kind of been on a variety, and we talked about this one at ATA a little bit, which is wearable tech. So,
Hmm.
um, so shifting over to the technology side of health, um, what kind of wearable tech do you recommend? When we're looking at health and how to monitor health, and we were having that chat, and you had some insight onto it. So can you talk a little bit about wearable tech, and from a driver aspect, from an office staff aspect, just anyone that's wanting to monitor their health? What do you recommend there?
Well, yes. I know that's not, but get one. And I
Yeah.
say that because, and I think there are I'm certainly not an expert in the space. I have an Apple Watch and I've had this for, I don't know how many years. And it's great. Now, I also like new shiny things. And so I've been wanting an Aura ring for a long time because I've heard that the data that you get from especially sleep related data is just, it's more accurate, maybe more, it's more in depth and that sort of thing. And I wear my watch to sleep. So I
Do
have
you?
to,
I
yeah, so I
can't.
have to,
Yeah.
I want to because that's the only way I'm tracking hours of sleep. And
Yeah, it bothers me. I've tried and it just bothers me. So I've been thinking about the Aura ring too. I have a size 15 finger and it just fits. So I may get one. So
but they're not cheap, right? There's several
right.
$100, and so I thought I was going to get one for Father's Day. That didn't happen. You know, uh, my birthday had come and gone, and so we'll see if like Christmas time. If not, I may just have to spring out and get one.
Sure.
Um, but I know people that have Fitbits. I know people that have Garmin's. I think whatever you will wear and actually use, because I really do believe that old adage here is that which gets measured gets improved is relevant.
Right.
And if you just pay attention, and especially if you participate in with others in a group, sort of like the step challenge, for example, you see, oh, okay, like, okay, I'm not going to be this guy. This guy's psycho. It's 3 a.m. and he's already got 18,000 steps. Jason Douglas. Uh,
Yeah, I've seen a few people go wild. I mean, that's
No, he's a beast, and I use him he's a good friend, and I joke with him all
fair
the
enough.
time. He gets up early and he goes at it, and he's also training for the Boston Marathon. So,
Gotcha.
but we've seen people in that group that have had 54,000
Yeah.
steps a day, 2 weekends
Yeah.
in a row. And I know who she is. She's and I was chatting with her in the app, and she said that she had run a marathon. And I'm like, that's the only thing you could have done because that's a lot of steps.
Yeah, that's a ton of steps, and I mean it like I said, it's not a race, and it's not about who's winning. It's kind of fun to watch people do that and see what they put up, and the wide variety of people that I didn't think would be doing this
Mhm.
are putting up things, and then they you find out as you do your you occasionally will post who's on it, and other people occasionally post who's on it, and then that'll invite other people on it because they want to participate, and then there's interaction there, and that's just been great. So the more the merrier. um, and it becomes a challenge for me just to try to at a minimum I want to stay at a certain number, and then I've been okay, well, I want to stay in the top 50. I'll probably lose the top 50 at some point here because, as we add on more people, you know, that top 50 is going to be a lot of steps. So, but it is what it is. You just make of it what you want. So, but you can also make your own group in that app too. So I've created one for GLCS that I'm going to announce here at our next company update, and anyone can join us there. And what I intend to do there is invite some of our customers to come compete with us. So
Cool.
just to create, well, we have a lot of trucking companies, so as customers. So then that'll be a good segue in to promote Project 61 a little bit. So
Yeah. Well, so we talk about drivers, and somebody had asked me like, "Hey, how come you're not really trying to put drivers in this app?" And I said, I'm encouraging carriers to do what, like you just said, is create your own group, and it's a lot more intimate that way when you're working with your
right,
own, drivers. But also, I think it's a little deflating if they see people like, Jason Douglas, who's got,
right,
18,000 steps, when they're never going to have a chance to get anywhere near that.
right.
I think it's more important that I want them to participate for sure, but carriers, building that little community with their drivers, I think is a really good way to do it. And like you said, it's free and real easy to do.
Yeah, it's the concept and the idea and getting it out there and creating the community of it. And I think that's the idea behind it is really where it goes, and it'll build itself. And just knowing that you can do that is step one. And it's a tool that's in a belt of a company that creates just that engagement with their people. And so it can be fun. So I'm interested to see where it goes. What do you think you're gonna? So getting away from the step up challenge a little bit, what do you kind of see next for Project 61 as far as missions, programs? You have some other new interesting things coming up.
Yeah, so we filed for a 501c3 as a
Perfect.
nonprofit, which is super important. There's a lot of funding options out there, both grant monies, state, federal, and so on,
Yeah,
as well as companies, donations, and sponsors. And I really look at Truckers Against Trafficking as an example, a wonderful cause, something that just hits you right in the gut. And I think everyone in the industry is super supportive of that. And if you follow the work that they've done and how they have assembled such a large group of supporters and companies, it's that very cause-based mission that is parallel to what I'm doing with Project 61. Now, that being said, you need all of that, because I cannot fund all of the things that I want
right.
Project 61 to do. And I also can't do it by myself either, physically or mentally. I
Yeah,
need a coalition of industry stakeholders and supporters to help me get to where we want to go. And I can tell you, like, the number one, that's why I look at Truckers Against Trafficking as sort of a model, because there's such a similarity in a mission. This is affecting a lot more people, just in the sense that it's really, almost every truck driver that's out there has some of these challenges or risk anyway, that we want to address and improve their health and wellness. But that said, that's the number one focus, is sort of building the infrastructure for that. That's been a work in progress just over the course of the last few weeks. I doubt anything's really going to kick off there until Q1, January, early
sure.
January.
Yeah,
But that's sort of the focus now. Once we got the step challenge sort of going in the right direction, which I feel really good about. Honestly, it was only a couple of weeks ago that we even started sponsorship opportunities for the Step Up, this 61-day challenge.
yep.
And I think we've got, I don't know, 18 sponsors
Wow.
already. I mean, it's a really good number of folks. It's certainly not expensive compared to probably some other things that they could spend their money on, but it's really good in terms of the amount of support. And that's helping. That's helping to raise capital for the mission for Project 61. And you need that fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good step. So perfect. Well, I'm excited to see where it goes. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to help out in any way, shape, or form. Shifting the tone a little bit, asking some off-pace questions. What if Project 61 had a cookbook? What would the first recipe be?
A cookbook, so that means you're going to cook something.
Right.
Well, it doesn't have to be necessarily something that you cook, but a
Oh, fair
cookbook,
enough.
recipe book, right?
Recipe, sure.
I would say, oatmeal. I'm trying to think of like first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Oatmeal or some sort of sprout type of bread. Um, Eggs are good. Avocado, if you like avocado. I like jalapenos too. A little spice that's healthy. Those are beans. If you can incorporate beans, black beans, lentils, any sort of beans into your food, like you're going to get a lot of good protein from that plant-based protein. Um, Nuts and seeds. I mean, this is the stuff that I'm talking about. This is the
Yeah.
stuff I eat all the time.
Right. We've had this discussion, and I might be putting you on the spot, but back at MCE, you and I were having a discussion about a book that you read
Mm-hmm.
that resonated with you a while back, that kind of changed
Oh
your
yeah.
eating habits. Do you know what book that was?
Absolutely, I know
Okay,
what book that
fair
was.
enough.
It's called How Not to Die,
That's it.
by
Yep. Okay.
Dr. Greger,
And I never
and
wrote that down, but now I'm gonna have to pull that
right
one
there.
out. Bingo.
uh, that was a book that honestly was the sort of the catalyst for me. It made a lot of sense about the merits of a whole plant-based diet, and I started. I have since incorporated a little bit more, animal, foods, but by and large, I eat, you know, mostly whole plant food, and I feel like $1,000,000. I feel way better at 50 than I did at 40, not even
Right.
close. And I know I'm in better health than I was then too.
Excellent. Uh, Also, another kind of off-topic question: if Project 61 had a mascot, what would you have that mascot be?
Oh man, I have never thought of that. I think it would just be I want it to be a healthy truck driver, and by healthy, um, that doesn't mean you've got to be an Olympian. It just means that you're a normal looking, healthy human being. I think
Sure,
that's what it'd be.
fair
I don't
enough.
know. I never thought of that.
Average,
That's a really
average
interesting
Joe,
question.
average Joe. So fair enough. I can appreciate that in this case. So, uh, all right, final question, then I'm gonna let you go. What is, and this one's not that far off topic, but I like to ask almost every guest this question. What is the most rewarding part of working in the trucking industry?
Easy answer for me is the relationships that I've built with people that have lasted a lifetime. I mean, this is year 21 for me, and I have relationships and friends with family uh, that I've known since the very beginning. And even if I meet somebody new, it's really you're almost there's a certain bond. It's almost hard to explain, but it's just if they feel the same way about the industry that you do, you are it's almost as if you've known each other for decades, even if you just met. In some instances, it's like that's how you don't have like you just immediately
Right.
bond, and I don't. That's pretty special. I don't think that exists in anything else. I can't imagine it.
I don't know if it does. I've looked at other industries and wondered if it does, but you're absolutely correct. Once you're in this industry, whether it's 2 years, it's hard to say if you get that sort of bond in a year. But like I typically will tell people, if you're in for a year, you're in for a long time. Very few people spend a year and don't stay for 5, but very few people stay in for a decade and leave. Uh, but absolutely correct. This industry has a bond to it that I don't feel is out there in other industries. Now, I wouldn't know because I'm approaching 3 decades. So, uh, um, as I get closer to that, there's no way I'm trying out something else at this point. So,
Same.
I'm in for the long haul. Um, well, I appreciate you coming on. The hour always goes by super fast. I think you're doing some incredible work with Project 61. I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited to participate in it. And as it goes forward, whatever else we can do to assist there, always around to do so. How can people find you online?
First of all, my email address is just jeremy@project-61.org. Obviously, visit the website. Project I always say dash. You said hyphen. I like hyphen better.
Sure, fair.
Hyphen project-61.org, and also on LinkedIn. I'm super active. I know you are too.
Yep.
I don't even know what that's called. Just type in my name, Jeremy Reymer. It's hard to not find
Reymer.
Reymer. Yep. But I really appreciate you, Nate, and the GLCS team. Great team, great people, and this is why we love what we do.
Absolutely. So hopefully I see you sooner than later. I don't know if we're going to be anywhere at the same time through the end of the year, but I know I'll see you sometime soon at the beginning of next year, as soon as conference season picks back up. But looking forward to the Step Up Challenge, and thanks for coming on today, Jeremy.
Thanks so much, Nate. Have a great rest of the day.
Take care. Yep. All right. Appreciate Jeremy coming on. Next week, we are live with my co-host, Robert Bain, and the always amazing Courtney George from Wreaths Across America. Wreaths Across America is a nonprofit organization founded in 2007 to continue and expand the annual wreath-laying ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery, begun in 1992. The organization's year-long mission: remember the fallen, honor those that serve, and teach the next generation the value of freedom is carried out in part each year by coordinating wreath-laying ceremonies in December at thousands of participating locations in 50 states and beyond. National Wreaths Across America Day is Saturday, December 14th. If you'd like to sponsor a wreath, go to wreathsacrossamerica.org. If you're going to FreightWaves F3, November 19th through 21st, or if you're around the Chattanooga during that time, Freight Movement is pulling out all the stops with the Venture 53 Trucker Bar Party. Also, GLCS will be there. You saw myself and Missy Hetland. But Venture 53 Trucker Bar Party run by Freight Movement, and expect there to be great music, ice cold drinks, and we're going to just have a great time. So whether you're behind the wheel or looking to let loose, sign up at Freight Movement, FR8MVMT.com, or look up Freight Movement on LinkedIn. We're also excited to announce another Freight Movement event, the Frosty Freight event, this time in Eagan, Minnesota, on December 15th at the Lone Oak Grill from 6 to 9 p.m. Christmas and holiday themed, we're excited to partner with our sponsors, Williams & Associates and Transport USA. We'll have more to come on this soon. There's an Eventbrite up. You can also sign up at freightmovement.com for that as well, or through LinkedIn. If you're going to Manifest and you need a ticket, please use our booking URL, manifestvegas.com/freight movement, FR8MVMT. Your support is appreciated. At Freight Movement, we're not just about events, we're about a movement reshaping the future of trucking and logistics, and we're happy to be partnered with Manifest. Another Freight podcast drops tomorrow with Robert Bain. I believe you'll get his insights from Broker Carrier Summit. Check it out on LinkedIn and YouTube. Another event that I just realized I missed was there will be a coffee chat, a Freight Movement coffee chat prior to F3, hosted by Whitney Johnson Cowell in the Chattanooga area on Monday before F3. So looking forward to that as well. And with that, I'm looking forward to taking this thing off because long hair is not my thing. But happy Halloween, everybody. I hope you have a great day. Thank you for coming. And as always, stay curious, stay informed, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Until next time, drive forward with purpose and innovation. Thanks for watching.